What up, guys? Welcome to another episode. Let's go ahead and bring on our guests and turn off this loop. All right. Seems like we have Caymen in the house. What up, Caymen?
How's it going?
How's it going? Got
What
Bryan, Howell in the house. How's it going, guys?
Good. How are you?
Good. Sounds like you had a day, bro. You've been taking care of your son all day, or what?
Yeah, all day.
Oh man.
Yeah, but it's all good. It was fun.
Caymen, are you in it for the kids or no?
In
That's
it for the
No,
kids.
we're not.
Huh?
Well,
Are you gonna have kids
Oh.
in the future or no?
we're not planning on it. At least
Oh,
not at the
okay.
moment, anyway.
Yeah.
Definitely
same.
easier not with kids. You can fish a hell of a lot more. That's for sure.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. I mean, Caymen does bring his dog, and I brought my dog a few times, but you
Mhm.
got to get him acclimated to it.
Yeah.
Do you have to pay for dog sitting every time you go out on a long trip? And let's say your girlfriend has a full schedule of work as well?
Not normally. Usually
Not
we can
normally.
try. We've never actually had to put them up in a place to pay for it. We either have my parents or her best friend, anyways.
Oh, okay. That's good that you trust your parents. Your parents have owned multiple dogs in the past, I assume. Yeah. Okay, cool.
I always grew up with the dogs.
Bryan, are you a dog owner too or no?
No, I have 3 cats. I'm a cat guy.
Oh, nice. Is one of them named Simba?
No.
No. I just watched the what is it? The theater performance over in New York, The Lion King. It's so badass.
Nice.
So how was your guys' trip? All the way, well, it was pretty local to you, right, Bryan? You live how far away from Sam Rayburn?
It's only like 3.5 hours. It's not bad.
Oh, it's not
Okay.
bad.
Yeah, so that's like what is it? For in SoCal, that's like going to probably like Lake Murray or something like that. Or Lower Otay. No, that's like 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah,
That's
it's
3
probably-
hours. Probably Otay's a little bit further. Damn. So did you pre-fish a lot, Bryan, for Sam Rayburn Hobie BOS?
No, I just went down Thursday morning-ish. Got there like, I don't know, 11:30 in the morning maybe. Practiced that day and practiced Friday. That was it.
So you practice like half a day and a half, pretty much.
Yeah, and I kind of slept in, on Friday too, so I didn't get as much time as I would have liked.
Did you figure him out? Did you figure him out on that half day that you had the first day?
Yeah, I had it already kind of figured out that half day, and I felt somewhat a little bit comfortable with what I had, so I wasn't like super worried on Friday. I was like, I just want to check another spot or two, and if those are happening, I'll fish there. But I ended up just going out, and there was boats everywhere on those other spots I wanted to look at, and was kind of just like, I'll go to the other spot that I found on Thursday.
Do you fish from whenever you start to sunset, or do you get off the water whenever you feel like you found something?
I usually stay out there all day, if I get out there in the morning, I'll stay there all day.
That's badass. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Sunrise to sunset.
Yeah,
or do it like my friend Bob Zang. You guys know Bob Zang?
No, I don't.
No,
I
he's
think
a big. You probably heard of him in the West Coast, but he's a big time night fisherman. And dude, I think for Possum Kingdom, all he did was like night fish for 4 or 5 days in a row. He was just out there throwing a big wake bait, catching like 8 and 9s, etc. And when the tournament came around, he was just too burnt out from all the night fishing to actually fish during the day for the tournament. He had
was
such
totally
a great
off.
time.
His schedule was off. He was just like, okay, I want to be asleep right now. And
I wouldn't be
surprised. Morning.
Yeah, exactly. Caymen, how did you approach it? Did you say, hey, let's arrive 3, 4, 5 days in advance and try to get as much time as we can?
Yeah, I always play a balancing act between the time off I get with and how much I want to spend there.
Yeah.
I'm and the whole week if I could, but it seems about 2 days practice with
2 days of practice,
trips
sunrise to sunset, pretty much.
with trips that are over 15 hours away. Where this one was being like 22.
Yeah.
They spend a whole day of that time just driving. So about anywhere in Texas, at least I get 2 days unless I make it longer. But
yeah. Damn. I know how that is. Bryan, have you drove all the way to Texas from, let's just say, the lagoon?
Yeah. Yeah. When
You
I
have?
first moved, yeah, like,
Oh man.
that 5 years ago today is actually when I moved to Texas from
Oh
SoCal.
wow.
And,
Congratulations.
yeah, thanks. It's a long drive. That was not fun.
yeah,
No. No, I did Cattle Lake, and then I did Kentucky, and freak, man. It's something else to do it all the way from California. It's not the
Yeah.
smartest move. But Cayman's crazy. He'll do it. He's been doing
Yeah,
it for like how long have you been doing this, Cayman?
this has been second year doing like enough to like qualify for the championship or whatnot. But,
Second year of going from California to as far as how far have you gone?
we went to Florida last year. That was as far as I've gone.
Oh
This year
my
is
gosh.
Caddo, Texas. But
How long? Like, tell me a little bit about traveling to Florida. Explain like deeper, like how do you
uh,
prep for it? What is the
well,
problems that arrived?
well, I was gearing up for it, doing research and everything for months and months because that was the tan, and
Mhm.
um, we drove with Cody, so luckily I had somebody to drive with, and I mean, I was ready and prepared, and he had a whole bunch of orders. First
Mhm.
thing, kind of a roadblock he was trying to fill out with his lure business, so we spent like 6 hours trying to get all those caught up, and then we left, and it was just a long trip. We hit snow in Wyoming in the first couple hours. And then it was just a long road trip from there. Sleep was the
Dang.
big hurdle to try and get there sooner than rather than later.
Yeah, I want to see him out and about again. It's been a long time since heard from Cody. Period.
Yeah.
Wonder if he's doing well. I know he has a son now, and um, you think he's gonna come back for next year?
I don't know. I guess we'll see because I don't know. I don't know where he's at. I haven't talked to him a ton. I know
Oh, okay.
back surgery went good from what last time I heard.
Yeah.
Um, I'm pretty sure he's doing good with his kid, and I don't know if he'll come back next year, or if he will just kind of try and
Yeah.
together a little more before he jumps back into it.
Yeah, talk him into it.
Yeah,
It'd be great to see him in action again, at least for the West Coast or some sort of national event over at California.
yeah.
Bryan, are you coming to California at all to fish anything? Fish any tournaments,
fish
whether if it's like a
anything.
turkey shoot or a West Coast championship. Like there was a comment thread in the post, like Pua was like, dude, I didn't know Bryan Howell was a California OG.
I didn't know that either.
But
I mean,
yes, why don't you tell us about like how you got into bass fishing, and are you a California OG, and did you get started in California? And what are some of the ponds that you hit?
yeah, I started, probably, I don't know, like preteen age. I got really hardcore into fishing. My
Mhm.
buddy and my buddy's mom would take us to the lake, to lagoon all the time, just drop us
Yeah.
off. Started out bank fishing, and then eventually I got a float tube. So I started float tube in the lagoon,
Mhm.
float tube for years and years and years, and just fell in love with that. Started doing the float tube derbies at the lagoon, winning those every once in a while, whatnot. And I actually had never been in a kayak in California ever. And then
Oh
I
wow.
decided in 2018 to move to Texas. And that's when I was started getting into kayaking and kayak fishing, I was kind of like going back and forth, like, should I get a boat? Should I get a kayak or what? I ended up getting the kayak, and I've been in the kayak ever since. And as far as lakes in California that I've hit, I've only actually ever really fished the lakes around the LA area. I've never fished, Clear Lake, the Delta, none of that stuff. I've never even been up there in my life before. I would always hit the lagoon, Piru, Pyramid, stuff like that. Pudding Stone, really nothing. No San Diego lakes. I'd hit the Salton, around like Orange County in LA too. But I didn't really travel more than about 2 hours to fish ever, basically.
So what was your home lake? Let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
The lagoon for sure. I've spent, thousands and thousands of hours on the lagoon. Like it's, I used to go there before class, after class, just whenever I could. Basically, I'd skip class just to go.
No way, dude. And then so okay, so I'm pretty sure there's a handful of people that hit lagoon too, and none of my friends, none of my connections over there like hitting the lagoon, but I love it. I feel like if you're gonna break a PB or have the best day of fishing, you got to get out to the lagoon for sure. It's probably one of the most underrated ponds out there in the whole entire SoCal region. But like, what are some of the things? Because I have a live scope perspective, and you don't have a live scope perspective. You don't have live scope, right?
I do, but I didn't when I was in California. I've only had it for maybe 2 years or so, 3 years maybe now.
Right. And so from your perspective back then, how do you break down the lagoon? As like, if you're going in there right now, how are you breaking it down?
If I went in right now, I'd just go and fish kind of historically where I know I've caught them in the past. I mean, they seem to kind of be always in the same areas of the lagoon. The lagoon to me is a really hard lake to break down if you're from out of town or if you've never been there before or whatever, because it's just a bowl basically. You don't have too much to it. It's just mud. You have a couple small points. It's not like a normal, like a Texas reservoir or something where you have like big creek arms and all this stuff that just like stands out on a map. The lagoon, you just look at it on a map. It's like, okay, where do you start? That's the hardest thing. I mean, but if I was starting right now, I'd just go straight to the north end and go fish the grass. That's where I feel comfortable. I'd say, the first couple of years I was really into drop shotting, just kind of getting bites, basically, just having fun doing that. And then eventually I just started really getting into the grass fishing and just honing my craft there and got really good at it. And basically I would just take my float tube and kick all the way to the north end and just fish the grass all day long.
Right. And what are your go-to baits right now for that grass area?
Chatterbait, a lipless, punching or flipping the edges of the grass. I'd say those are like my 3 main things right now for sure.
And we got a question in the comments. Since you're from both California and you live right now in Texas, how is Texas compared to California?
I mean, you can't beat Texas fishing, in my opinion. I don't know. Caymen may have a different opinion on it since he's fished, both states as well. And hey, you've been here too, right? You fished Caddo.
Yeah.
So I would say Texas for sure, no question. But right now, Texas is just the hottest thing in bass fishing, period. I mean, nothing else comes close, in my opinion. Just look at all the double digits that they're coming out of OH Ivy, and now there's a new hot lake where they're catching 50-pound sacks, in half a day and whatnot. Like it's too good.
Out of the last few years, or right when you moved to Texas, right when you jumped in a kayak to current day, how many 10s have you caught?
I've never caught a 10 in my kayak. I've caught
no
them
10s
on the lagoon out of a boat.
Oh,
I've
wow.
never caught a 10 in my kayak. I've caught plenty of 9s in my kayak. I've caught the crap out of the 9s, but getting that 10 is difficult.
Yeah. So do you think you have a higher chance of catching a 10 over at the lagoon or a bigger chance at fishing any of the lakes over in Texas locally to you?
I'd say in Texas locally. Now, the lagoon 5-10 years ago, I'd
Mhm.
say you definitely have a better shot at the lagoon. But right now, I don't know. The lagoon does seem like it's getting better, but it kind
Mhm.
of went through a period where it just wasn't too great, and now it's just because I've only fished it once in the last 5 years,
Right.
but from what I hear from all my buddies that still fish it, like Dennis and my brother
Yeah.
still fishes it, and a couple other guys that I know, it's just not as good as it used to be. I don't know. I don't think
Right.
have you fished it like 10 years ago?
10 years ago, I was more of a Clear Lake guy. So 10 years ago, I was probably in Northern California fishing Clear Lake, in Santa Rosa, the Windsor Ponds, the Delta, and etc. So I was more of a power fisherman on a float tube over there. Um, and then when I fished for the first time over at the lagoon, I got all hyped up because that was like the HBC times. That was Heavyweight Bass Classic, Butch
Yeah.
Brown. The Huddleston was pretty big. I think Butch Brown caught over 20 double digits over out of the lagoon in 2009. And I thought I saw clear water. I was fishing off the bank and I was like, man, this place sucks. Right. But then when I first got my kayak, when I first got the Old Town 106 PDL, I went out there and I was fishing in the center of the lake and in the grass. And dude, I was catching like 5-pounders here and there, here and there. I was like, this place is great. Like
Yeah.
they're more offshore than anything. They're pretty smart over at the lagoon.
Yeah, the lagoon, you can't just it's not like a Texas lake,
Yeah.
most of the Texas lakes, as long as the water level's, pretty normal, like, you can just go beat the bank and catch bass all day long, just
Right.
you may not catch a bunch of giants, but you can go catch 2s and 3-pounders all day long just throwing a spinnerbait along the bank or
Right.
Senko or whatever. At the lagoon, I don't know, you kinda have to be
I
it's like
know.
it seems like you really have to be in specific spots, and like
Yeah.
you said, they are offshore a lot in that grass. You may be, out in the middle of the lake just fishing that grass or just I know like you like to do just fishing those suspending fish and whatnot on
Yeah.
scope.
Yeah.
Like, they're just all over the place because they don't really have anything on the bank to hold on to other than,
No.
what we refer to I don't know if you refer to as the jungle, like, all the brush and stuff,
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so we call it the jungle, so, like, that's the only and that didn't exist, maybe it's only existed for, like, 7 years, I'd say, when the water level got really low during
Mm.
the drought and then all that stuff grew, but before that, it was just kinda like bare bank over there, just mud flat, and you had a couple little patches of tules, and, there was an old dock over there, and that was it.
Look at this dog in the picture.
Uh,
Cutie. I
yeah.
remember seeing your dog like back in the day, like on your kayak as a baby.
Oh yeah,
It's
that was
grown
when it
up
was
so
easy.
much.
Kayak.
Yeah, yeah. Now you have to bring 2 kayaks.
Yeah, I actually sold that kayak, so he actually does better when I just put him right in front of me and take out my drive.
Oh, okay. Cool.
He,
Are you in a
'Cause he,
PA2 now? Or are
yeah,
you in an Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm at 14.
Um, what's your take on it? On California versus Texas, since you fish Northern California lakes, you're stacking up like Delta, Clear Lake
Yeah, the only place I
versus
fished.
Texas.
Yeah, the only place I fished in SoCal was OJ. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Clear Lake's a blast almost always. So even if
Yeah.
it's tough, um, I don't know. It's hard to say though. I've never had a bad trip to Texas either. So
Dude, Texas is crazy, man.
yeah,
I don't know, man. I have so much fun like flipping around and throwing reaction baits in Texas over at the cypress trees, and you got a small little jungle at the lagoon, but then you got like the whole entire Texas is a jungle out there.
Yeah, that's like your little slice of Texas at the lagoon, basically.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, it's, like, similar to Texas, really.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'd say like northern Texas fishes, like what I'm used to out or
Mhm.
northern California.
Yeah.
But Texas is fun because it is different and there's big bass everywhere.
Yeah.
No.
So you guys pick Texas over California any day in terms of fishing?
I would.
I think
Like Cayman
Pua
said,
says what up in the chats. Pua is like wondering, like, oh shoot, Bryan was the OG in California. I didn't know that. And I think he started following you when you were fishing more in Texas in the Hobie BOS. So since I've been spotlighting Bryan most of the time during the podcast, let's talk about your experience, Cayman. I know you had a spectacular finish over at Sam Rayburn. When I saw you, you were out of the top 5. And then all of a sudden, and then I saw freaking Bryan in the top 5. I saw you in second place, right, on day 1.
I was in third on day 1.
You're in third in day 1.
At times, I was in second place.
Yeah,
but I ended up on third after the day was over.
And I was hyped up. I was like, dude, freak yeah! Like I seen Bryan in the top of the standings, and then Cayman is maybe 3 spots down. How did you do it, Cayman? How did you come back? And do you guys hate each other, or do you guys love competition? You know, do you despise each other?
No, I mean, I love
competition.
So how'd you do it? Tell me.
Yeah, I mean,
story.
So 1 second, sorry. Wife trying to come home. Anyways, she's just walking in the door, but
it's all good. She can hop on and tell me the story too.
Yeah, she wants to. So yeah, I mean, but practice was all right. I found fish, but they were schooling fish, so I didn't really trust that, that's quality of fish was going to be there.
Yeah,
I had a little bit of a backup of some decent fish shallow and in some grass, but I went to an area for like 2 hours on Friday just to check it out because it looked good on the map, and we got there and it still looked good. It looked better than where I was. And I caught an 18 and a 14, and I'm like, well, I guess I'd rather come over here and fish grass all day rather than go try and hope the quality's there on those offshore fish. And I mean, I had a limit midday, but I only had 1 fish for the first 3 hours, then found a few more midday, and one was a 19, so I did have a decent limit. And then I just kept junk fishing. My dry broke, which was actually kind of a good thing because it forced me to slow down and just fish everything in front of me. That's how I ended up finally pushing back way farther than I'd ever fished in practice, into the back of a pocket, and found a little section of grass, or grass mat anyways, and caught 2 18s and probably 5 or 6 other fish out of it.
This was day 1?
This is day 1. Yeah.
This is day 1?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So because your drive broke, and how did it break?
Landing that 19-incher on a fluke on a spinning rod in the back of a grass mat.
And how did you break your pedals?
So, the whole fin, the kick-up fin, the pin that holds it in, that little split ring that kind of keeps it all together, somehow the grass tore that off. And then the pin just worked itself out, and the whole fin fell off.
So you were working with one fin?
One fin, yeah.
Did it worked out though?
It works. You just can't get going very fast.
Crazy. That's crazy. Damn. So how much time did you give yourself to get back?
I mean, I was within 5 minutes of the ramp when I was at the end of the day. But I mean, I had only worked a couple miles from the ramp. Really.
Damn. That's a blessing in disguise. Like that.
Yeah.
That broken pedal drive actually puts you on some fish.
Right. Yeah.
That's crazy. And was that a punch bite too, or was that you said a fluke?
That one fish was on a fluke. I caught a few other small fish on a fluke. Some on a swim jig, some on a chatter, but all my big fish really came on a frog.
Oh wow, that's the most fun. Is that you can actually finish in the top 5 with a frog.
Yeah.
So how did keep on going? Did I interrupt you from anything?
Oh no, go ahead. I was just gonna kind of go into it, but we can go to that after.
Bryan, how did your day 1 go? I know you made a top 3. Get into that. Any problems that you had? Any problems that arrived? Anything that shocked you?
I didn't really have any problems. I mean, other than I guess I was pedaling to my spot and someone kind of beat me to the first spot I wanted to start at, but I was kind of like,
Mhm,
should I start there? And I kind of was like going back and forth between if I wanted to start there or somewhere else. And that kind of
mhm,
just made the decision for me. So I kept pedaling, went to my other spot,
mhm.
started there, and it was just a bunch of little fish. I mean, in practice, it was kind of the same way. You know, just catching tons of little fish. But especially in the tournament that morning, day one, it was just, I was throwing a buzz bait and like a little buzz toad basically, and
Mhm.
just over and over, little ones. And I was like, man, this is not going to be enough. This sucks.
Are you talking like
So
70 inches, 65 inches?
yeah, like 70 to maybe 75, maybe.
First 30 minutes of the day?
Yeah, I might have had like 70-ish around probably first hour,
Wow. So
which
the bite was good. It's
the
just a
bite
lot of
was
fish.
good. Like,
Yeah.
I was catching plenty of fish, just they weren't doing anything, I was like, "Oh, here's a 12-incher, oh, a 13, a 14." I think, like, I had
Yeah.
my biggest one of the morning was, like, a 16 something, and that was the only one where I was like, "Okay, maybe this'll stay in my
You're
limit," the rest of
you're
them, I was like,
like,
"I need to get rid of these."
were you taking pictures of the 12s and 13s, or were you just like, oh,
Yeah,
you
I'm
were?
not gonna get bit by that, like, if you don't take a picture of a 13, you're gonna need that 13 at the end of the day, you're like, "Dang, I didn't take that
Yeah,
picture,
yeah,
I
yeah.
shoulda."
Yeah, yeah. Well, the 16 you caught the 16 in the same school of the 12 and 13s?
Yeah, it was just all together kinda, but, I didn't
Okay.
catch that one on top water. I got that one on the chatterbait, so I was just throwing that jackhammer along there and one smoked it, but I couldn't get anything else going on the chatterbait after that. I kept throwing it thinking, yeah, maybe the bigger fish don't want to come up
Mhm.
on top, and I just
Yeah.
never really got any more bites on that, and then maybe 8:30ish, I was like, "Screw this, I'm gonna start punching," sun's up now. There's boats, high school boats, because there was like I think what 3 or 5 other tournaments going on, like boat tournaments, same
Oh,
time as our
no.
tournament. So
Yeah.
there was high school kids freaking everywhere where I was,
Oh,
and they weren't
no.
catching anything. And I saw what they were throwing, and same things that I was kind of throwing. I was like, man, you know what? Why don't I start punching? Nobody around me is punching. The bite sucks, because the
Oh,
sun kind
wow.
of came up, the wind slicked off. And, what do you know? I catch like a 17 in the first 5 minutes, and I just continued doing that the rest of the day. I just covered as much water as I could possibly could, just cold, 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 and it was good enough for sitting in 3rd off the after that day 1.
How long do you give up on a bait and make a switch? Like, how long do you give until you give up on it, the chatterbait or the top water? Because you're catching numbers, but
Yeah, I mean,
is
at that point, though, I wasn't really catching anything anymore. It was just
oh,
like
okay.
that first hour maybe where it was good. And
Yeah.
then that first after that, it died. So that's why I started thinking like I should switch
Okay.
because, I went without a bite for a good long while. And it wasn't like I was catching big fish
Mhm.
on the other stuff I was throwing anyway. So I was like, what's the worst thing that can happen if I start punching? Because
Yeah.
I knew from previous tournaments and previous experience that basically as soon as the sun hits the water, you can start punching and catch fish.
Yeah.
It's because I used to think, oh, I have to wait till like 10 o'clock or something to do it. Now I've caught the crap out of them punching, at like 7:30 in the morning before.
Yeah. For sure. You're using a 1 ounce. Why a 1 ounce versus like a 2 ounce? You were just getting in with the 1 ounce. You tended
Yeah,
to
the
go
1 ounce was
lighter.
getting through, no
Yeah.
problem. I didn't have any issues. There's honestly, I probably could have gone a little bit lighter because I was throwing like a little slender cross style bait. It didn't have a bunch of flappers or anything like that, so it was just going through real easy. 1 ounce was plenty, and honestly, I think a lot of it is confidence. I have a ton of confidence in a 1 ounce,
Mhm.
so if I go throw that, I know that you just, when you're confident, you're gonna
Yep.
catch them. Period.
Yeah. Yeah. You ever drop shot with a 1 ounce bait? Oh, 1
I've
ounce.
I never have. I'll
No?
go to like a 3/8
3/8,
or
that's max?
that's about max for me. Maybe like a
Okay.
half. Like I don't even know if I've used a half in fresh water. Like in salt water, I've used
Yeah.
a half before drop shotting, but
Yeah.
freshwater. I don't know. I don't think I've ever gone more than
Dude,
3
try
days.
it, bro. If you have live scope, try it, man. That's the only weight I found in my boat because I left all my drop shot gear inside the car. So I had like an ounce tungsten flipping weight in my cup holder, and I was just like, dude, I I lost my last 3/8 drop shot weight, so I tied on the ounce because I knew the 20 inches were cracking over at the lagoon. Tied that on, dropped it down there. Right, I see fish, and then they kind of disappear, and then I start reeling to make my next cast, and I see a big old mark come up, follow it, right, and then I
Yeah.
click the bell again, let it drop again, and I'm just feeling my my slack line, and I feel it pop, and then I just set the hook, dude, 20 incher,
How
but
deep?
10 feet
10 feet
on
with the
the
1 ounce. Dang.
yeah, in northern on the northern end
Were you in
in
the
the
grass or was
grass,
it just bare
yeah.
bottom?
It was grass. It was like dying off grass, and there was like some sparse grass here and there. It was like in
Okay.
the
I
middle
mean,
of the northern area,
yeah, I mean, if
but
you have grass and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not a huge
yeah,
issue. If it's just bare
yeah,
bottom, I feel like
yeah.
it's
I
like
mean,
it's just in that the lagoon has so much silt, it just like
yeah,
buries down in there, I would feel like, you know?
yeah, that's true. You guys try it though. 1 ounce, man, it's fun. It gets down there pretty fast, if
I'm
you can
sure it does.
imagine.
I bet.
um, so punch bite. Did you? Let's go into day 2. Did you try to just you're gonna die going into it, throwing your punch, your flipping setup, or are you still throwing your top water, your chatterbait, and first thing in the morning?
Yeah, I started throwing the top water and chatterbait and all that in the morning. I mean, day 2 was completely different conditions. It was, overcast and it was raining on and off, so it was not good conditions at all for punching. I mean,
Oh
I
man.
I made it kind of happen at,
Hmm.
9 a.m. maybe. The sun came out a little bit. I caught like 2 little ones on like 14 inches, and then it
Hmm.
got real cloudy after that, and I kind of put it away for the rest of the day almost until the last 20 minutes of the tournament. Sun came out last 20 minutes, and that's when I called like 3 times.
Wow. Wow. Um, is there anything because I know as anglers we always think about what we could have done different to finish in like the top 3, top 5. If you would have went back and fished day 2 again, what would have you done different? Or are you satisfied completely with your performance on day 2?
I mean, I don't really think I could have done too much
Mhm.
differently. The same person that started day 1 on that other spot I wanted to fish, they started day 2 there, and I wasn't gonna try to like beat them there and be like, oh yeah, today
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it. Like I knew they fished pretty much all day there the first day, so I kind of just left them be, and they ended up, in the top 10 as well. So
Oh,
if
wow.
they weren't there, I would have loved to start there, and that would have been the only thing I would have changed, really.
Man. How did he beat you to the spot?
I just took my time pedaling. I wasn't in a rush, I was like, no one's gonna start here. This is just such a small little, like isolated kind of spot. Literally, no one's gonna start here. And then somebody, of course, goes right there. I'm like, all right, I could have started on the other side of it, but I was like, it's not a big spot, and kind of like I feel like I'm better off if I just go down the lake a little bit and down in the back of the creek more and just do my own thing. And I was kind of
Yeah.
worried about the other spot that I wanted to like. I was kind of going back and forth, like I said, and I kind of was worried about boats. Those high school kids just going straight to the other spot I wanted to be
Right.
on. So I was like, you
Right.
know what? I'll just go there and fish that right away, and then I can come back to the other spot later. But
Right.
it didn't really happen.
Right. And you have a full-time job, right? You're not going all into fishing and
Well, now I'm kind of a stay-at-home dad. I mean, I
oh,
used
that's
to,
nice.
but not anymore. Now
Yeah.
I just like that's a job of itself though. So
Yeah.
it's not like I get to fish all
Yeah.
the time. I only get to go on the weekend. Like, I used to
Right.
go because before I used to do like reselling and stuff online, and I kind of had a flexible schedule, so I could go during the week kind of whenever and go fishing, but now I'm just stuck to weekends.
So do you put pressure on yourself to finish in the top 10 like every single time? Or are you kind of just pretty mellow? You're like, it is what it is. I found what I found. I only had a limited day of practice. Like, tell me like what your mentality is going into this tournament.
Yeah, I go in every tournament wanting to get a check at minimum and, try to win every one. I didn't think this one that I would even be in third place after day one. I kind of was like, I'll probably be around 10th or something like that, like at best. I didn't feel like super confident because I was just catching a ton of little fish. And I didn't think that 80, what did I have, like 87 or something? I didn't think that that was that great for Rayburn. I mean, I would have thought I would have had at least 90 something, and I would have thought that to win it, you would have had to have like 95 a day, but that wasn't the case at all. It was just tough time of year. And I mean, it was what it was. I mean, I couldn't,
Yeah.
I didn't go out there. It wasn't like I was competing, on some other time of year. I had to kind of think I was competing on this day against everyone else. They're all having the same conditions, the same fish.
Yeah.
That's how it was.
Who was asking what's the main vegetation in Rayburn?
Hydrilla.
Hydrilla.
For sure, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of coontail, some pondweed, pads, a couple other things, but mainly hydrilla, and that's what I was focusing on. I don't know about Cayman, if that's probably what you were focusing on too, because that's the dominant thing.
Yeah, it was all hydrilla.
Yeah.
Nice. And last thing, like, how many fish were you catching per day, Bryan?
Probably 25, 30.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't. It's kind of different than lagoon. You go out to the lagoon, and sometimes you will catch 20, 30,
20
but
or
like in a
30,
normal Texas day, you'll kind of catch a good amount of numbers. Even if you don't necessarily get a big one, you're always going to catch numbers in Texas, almost always.
It's almost frustrating, right? Because you're just like, 12, 13, 14, 15, blah, blah, blah. These aren't going to count.
Yeah, it is frustrating when you're punching, because normally punching, you're getting good fish, right? But when you're punching, you're getting 12 inches, 14 inches. It's like, man, this is just frustrating as heck.
Dude, I feel like that over at what is it called? I feel like that sometimes over at the lagoon. Like you just punch, you're just like, oh, I get a bite. Hookup ratio is not that great sometimes. Like, is it even worth it? I know I can catch them probably, I don't know, with a chatterbait instead of punching bull ball. I don't know. Chatterbait's always more fun.
Oh yeah, it's more fun. Well, I don't know. I kind of like punching might be my favorite thing. I go back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah. Like right now, I'm totally into the punch bite. Like my last few tournaments, that's what I've been doing for majority of the day. But other times a year, yeah, chatterbait. I'll throw chatterbait all damn day if I have to.
When you guys are practicing, did you punch at all during practice?
Yeah, I always do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys make a switch where you're just like, okay, do you go based on practice where you're like, okay, it's a reaction bite or it's a punch and bite? Do you always think like it's either this or that, or do you go like how do you gauge whether you should junk fish or not during the actual day of the tournament?
I mean, usually the thing with punching is usually you can get on a chatterbait bite or a topwater bite or whatever bite in the morning, even if it's terrible later in the day. Then that's when you can go start punching and just fishing slower. And because punching, it's not like a technique where you can just cover tons and tons and tons of water. Chatterbait, you can just burn banks and just cover a ton of water, find fish. But punching, you have to kind of fish slower. And it's not like what I would initially go to. But if I found, say, a lot of the time you might find a really good area with the chatterbait and then they stop biting. Well, what do? Pick up your punch rod and start punching.
Okay.
Same area.
Got it. Caymen, let's go into your day too.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, we have questions for you. Chris is asking, what is your chatterbait color?
Kind of depends on where I'm at. I mean, if I'm in anywhere there's a lot of bait fish, I almost throw some sort of shad pattern or white. Really starting to like the dirty white color. It's got that like shad colored skirt, solid white bottom with the gold blade. For some reason I catch a lot of fish on that gold blade, it seems like. But like here in Utah, I almost strictly throw, in the spring I'll throw white. White's a good color here too. But I throw a lot of green pumpkin or as well. It's like the Delta, I threw a green pumpkin the whole time.
No black and blue? You're not a black and blue guy? No.
If it's dirty water, I'll throw black and blue. But that's
like
really
if it's cattle and it's super muddy, then you'll probably throw black and blue.
Yeah, that time of black and blue.
Let's get your take on it, Brian. What's your favorite color? Let's get the lagoon juice. What's your favorite? Yeah, let's get your lagoon chatterbait. What is that exactly? Go into detail.
I mean, when I went to visit a couple months back, I was smashing them on the Clearwater shad with like I think it was the Green Gizzard Zacho trailer, and that was smashing them. I like that combo, and I also like that green pumpkin shad little chatterbait. I mean, Butch Brown, he throws almost exactly the same color as that green pumpkin shad, but in a spinnerbait. So I've been throwing colors like that. I don't know. It used to not really be a popular color, maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago. But it seems like a lot of companies now are kind of coming out with that green pumpkin shad looking color.
Yeah.
And it's just always been something that's worked super well for me.
So you guys are not piling up with black and blue then inside your tackle box.
In Texas, you have to have black and blue. I've won plenty of tournaments on black and blue in Texas. It's killer. And at the lagoon at night, or say even because the lagoon kind of goes through cycles. Some years it's like 20-foot visibility. Other years it's like 2 or 3 feet visibility, and then you can be throwing that black and blue. But when it's crystal clear, other than nighttime at the lagoon, I'm not going to throw the black blue.
Right on. Let's dive deep into your day 2. What's the story? Did you get your pedal drive fixed? Tell me about it.
Yeah. So, I messaged AJ just to see if he maybe even had parts or something, and he's like, "How about a whole drive?" And he's like, "I got a spare drive," and I'm like, "All right, sweet." So yeah, I picked up a drive from him, and it was good to go.
Yeah,
brand new drive on day 2, but
sweet.
I mean, I started finding that pattern, catching those 2 a whole bunch of fish out of that one mat. I just tried to do that. I started on the outside of a pocket and just worked my way into it. And the first bend that had a grass point on it, I caught a 20. My first fish was like a 9, but yeah, then that was.
Do you guys know where you guys fished? Do you guys know each other's spots or no? No,
I was gonna ask that. I was gonna ask, were you fishing like mid-lake or what?
Let's get that. Let's get that. Some general. Where were you fishing?
It was. I think it's considered mid-lake. It's on the north side.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty much just one of the. There's only a number of pockets right off of the main, like that big rounded point. I think it's called Farmers. It was near there.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So where were you fishing?
And I was gonna ask that in relation to the 147 bridge, like the main kind of bridge that goes across the lake. Like in relation to there, where were you?
It was. I was way far away from that. I was probably. I mean, it was probably 15 miles or so.
Okay, because I would consider there like that's mid-lake to me.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So maybe I'm more on the south side.
Okay, yeah. I was within, a couple miles of the bridge. I could see the bridge, so.
Oh, so you guys are fishing 17 miles away from each other.
It's probably something like that.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Keep on going. So did you start out that same grass patch that you stuck all your fish on day 1?
No. I revisited it later, but I didn't think those fish were going to be They kind of seemed like they were just resident fish because they were so far in the back of the creek.
Right.
I figured some might go in and out of there, but they kind of seem to be just holding to those certain grass mats in the very back. And so I just started running the pattern because I didn't really have anything to go off of in practice for the area. So I just kept looking pretty much the whole day. And it was the first pocket I pulled up into was great. I mean, I had 6 or 7 blow-ups, couple misses, couple short fish. I ended up catching another 19 and a 15 and a 14. And then I was just looking for one more for a limit, which I found in the next cove overs, which has a 16.
It sounds like you didn't run out of spots at all.
No, because I mean, I was just pretty much looking for new spots the whole day,
and looking for hydrilla and coves and little bays.
Once I found what I did on day 1, it was just looking for the same thing the rest of the day on day 2, and sticking a frog in my hand, and I threw the chatterbait or a fluke in between and caught a couple fish, but all my big fish were coming on that frog and those pockets in the very back.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Sounds like Clear Lake like back then. When you go pull up any grass patch and get bit on a frog and catch 4 and 5s. What was your second day length?
88 3/4.
Oh, okay. So that was a solid bag for day 2. Was that the second biggest bag in day 2?
I think so. I think I was either second or third for day 2, I believe.
What did it take to win it? Like 90 each day?
I think that's what he averaged, or somewhere right 89.
Somewhere around there. So you're pretty close. What was your smallest fish on day 2? Did you? I mean, how far behind were you on day 2?
I was. Well, let's see. He had 92, and I had 85 3/4. And then, so I was. What is that? 7 inches behind.
7. Oh wow.
Or rough 6 1/4 or something like that, maybe. But
then your smallest was like what? Like a 17 or 18?
On
18.
No, on my day 2 was a 15 and a half.
What was your smallest?
Yep.
So what was okay? Does that cross in your mind? You're like, any given bites could be a 22 or something like that. Do you start fishing a little bit faster in the last hour?
Kinda. I mean, the last hour and a half, I ran and got service so I could submit my fish, because I knew I had. At that point, I had my bag for the day, and I just pretty much made a run all the way back to where I know someone else started, but I hadn't thrown a frog through it.
Yeah.
I didn't start there because they started there, and I'm like, I haven't fished it yet, so ran all the way back there and fished it, and it was Adam McCluskey anyways, and he did the same thing since he had caught some good fish there in the morning. And it was, I ran into him, we kind of crossed paths, and he's like, what side you going to? And I'm like, well, I'll go to that side, and he went to the other side, and it was if it was flip-flopped, like he caught 2 17s and lost another one that he said it was probably pushing 17 in that last 45 minutes. It was like, if that would have happened, I'd have won the whole thing. But I mean, I did catch a couple fish in the last 45 minutes, but they were 14 inchers.
Oh, okay. How about you, Brian? Do you start fishing fast when you know that like it's only going to take one more kicker to take the whole entire bag?
I don't know. I mean, I think fishing faster sometimes can hurt you. Like, you might be, sometimes you might have to slow down a little bit, and you kind of catch yourself fishing too fast, and you're not really getting bites anymore. You're like, dang, like, what am I doing? Like, okay, I have to kind of get back into what I was doing. Like, I don't want to completely switch what I was doing,
Right. You don't want the wheels to come off or anything, so you kind of try to keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it's kind of do what I'm doing, but be conscious of what's going on, like how much time I have left. I'm not gonna be like, okay, I have 20 minutes left. Let me pedal halfway across here and fish
so I
for
can make
2
one
minutes.
pitch.
Well, you kind of have to know and be like, okay, let me hit only the juice spots. Don't like beat this whole bank. There's no sense in that when you just hit the juice real quick, working down an area. Don't spend time on unproductive stuff. I mean, because not necessarily always stuff's not always unproductive. Like, you might work down a bank in the middle of the day when you have plenty of time left to catch one fish here, one fish there. But at the end of the day, you don't want to be just weeding through a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, exactly. I get you. Does Rayburn throw out 100+ bags? Seems stingy for a Texas lake. Pua says, "Is Rainburn turning over? Or what's the deal over there?"
Yeah, I mean, it occasionally throws out 100-inch bags. I mean, you can look at the boat tournaments from earlier in the year and stuff. Guys catch 40-pound sacks in the BFLs out there and the local tournaments and whatnot. I mean, it's a big fish lake. It's just September is tough in Texas. September anywhere. I mean, I fished some other tournament, a couple weeks before that, and it was tough there too. It's not just Rayburn. Everywhere in Texas, at least in the South, period, I would say, is tough in September.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. What's the plans for next year, guys? I mean, we're not even close. You guys what's coming up? Are you guys fishing TOCs? What do you guys qualify for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're both qualified for Hobie TOC.
How many people? 50? 50, and then grand prize
65.
is 65 now.
Yeah, they upped it.
Where do you guys? Does the TOC count for AOY points? Or no, it's done. It's wrap, right?
No, it counts.
Oh, it counts.
Yeah.
So, did you guys have a good year? Are you guys pretty satisfied? I imagine you guys top 20 in AOY.
I'm around 20.
20?
I'm sitting in 8th.
Oh, dang.
You're sitting in 8th?
Yeah. I don't know if I have a shot to catch Ewing, though, because he'll probably do a decent finish, and he'd have to place like 40th for me to catch him.
I mean, 2 years ago, I was in like 2nd place for AOI, and I did place like 40th and then dropped.
Really?
I wasn't in top 10 at the end of it.
After the last event?
Yeah, after the TOC, like 2 years ago, I didn't catch a limit on day 1. I only caught 3 fish.
Yeah.
And then, the next 2 days I caught a limit, but I still ended up in like 40th place and dropped from 2nd place for AOI. And the thing was, I wouldn't even have had to have like a big bag. I would have just had to have like 5 fish. And it seemed like I think all the top 3 or 4 or 5 guys did awful. And then somebody from, around like what Caymen is, like 8th, 7th, somewhere in there, kind of just moved up because everybody else above them just did poorly.
Yeah, you never know. It could happen. It happened to both Bryan and I pretty much, because that happened to me for ABA. I would have had a Hobie PA 14 had I taken a picture of that 12.5 incher that leaped off my board. All I had on day 1 or day 2, if I had a picture submitted of that fish and I freeze the frame too on my GoPro, I saw the fish. It was 12.5 inches laid flat on the board, and then it flopped off. And I was like, and that happened in the beginning of the day. Like that 12.5, 13-inch fish, like you said, Bryan, early on in the podcast, it does freaking matter.
It matters.
You could end up from 2nd or 1st all the way down to 20th place, 40th place at the end of the day. That's why I never liked having the TOC included for AOI. I was just like, I think AOI should be a regular events only type of deal. But I don't know. I could be kind of biased for that after that sore loss. But yeah, keep at it, Caymen. You never know, man.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Give her hell.
There'd be one guy from Utah winning the 10 house and another Utah guy winning AOI for Hobie BOS. But don't put any pressure on yourself, dude. Don't do that. It's not necessary.
We did now.
Yeah, for coming on to the podcast. You guys want to thank anybody before you guys leave?
Go ahead, Caymen.
I mean, really just
Enduro batteries.
Yeah. I mean, they do help for sure.
Well, wait, before you guys leave, did you guys use live scope? Any of you two during the tournament?
Not really. No.
Oh, okay. I didn't put it in the water in the tournament at all.
Oh, okay.
I did day 1, but that's because I was still looking. And then day 2, I didn't even touch it.
You didn't put it in. Okay. Cool. So, anybody you want to thank before we head out?
Yeah, I mean, I'll thank my wife. She's my biggest supporter, and I mean, she's the whole reason I get to still do this. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
That's awesome. All right, Bryan.
Yeah, my wife for sure, my son, all my buddies, and my family and everything in California. You know, I don't have any family in Texas at all. It's just kind of me, my wife, and my son out here. And then, of course, sponsors, Dakota Lithium, Dobbins Rods, and Newport.
Damn, you guys make me want to propose to my girlfriend right now, man. You guys are saying wife and stuff, and you guys look like you guys are 23 years old or something. 21. Oh, you're 21 or 23?
Yeah.
You're 23? Shut
Yep.
up. And you're already married?
Yeah,
I'm 30, so.
And you got the whole entire zoo over at your house. I see like cats.
Oh, yeah.
You're like putting the cat down, the lizard down, the dog down.
I saw that.
Yep.
I know. What other animals do you have, dude?
Just 2 cats, which they're technically not even my cats. They were we moved into this place, we're renting it, and they're outside cats from the neighbors.
Yeah.
And one day they just kind of tried to make friends with us and walked in the house, and now they hang out for a minute and then go back outside.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you talked about them on the last podcast you were on.
Maybe, yeah.
Bryan, where's your cats, man? I didn't see any of your cats hopping on you or anything. Usually they bother you.
The one actually came up and like got on my lap a little bit. You might have seen like, this much of them in the frame if you were paying attention, but other than that, the one just chilling next to me right now, and I don't know where the other 2 are at.
Usually they like to hop on your lap while you're on the computer.
They do.
Lot.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying. Any podcast or whatever, they just hop up. They want to steal the show.
But the good thing is about cats, like you don't have to clean their litter for at least 2 days, and you can put a whole bunch of food out if you need to go fish for a 10-12 hour day, and you don't have to attend to them.
That's kind of why I have cats. They're lower maintenance. You don't have to worry about, like you said, you go out all day fishing. And it's not like you come back and the house is destroyed. They're like, oh, hey, okay, you're back.
Yeah.
Whereas your dog's like, where were you all day?
Yep, and then they pee and poo in your bed, and yeah, man, the list goes on, dude. There's I spent probably like this last New York trip, I spent $230 on dog boarding.
Dang.
It's expensive, man. That's why I was asking you, Caymen, do you spend on dog boarding whenever you leave? But usually you take them or you give them.
Yeah,
you drop them off the parents, huh?
Yeah, if we have to, we try and take them. I mean,
yeah,
I probably take 95% of the events if I can. I mean,
well, guys, I guess I'll catch you guys later. Probably after the TOC. Maybe we can hop back on, see how you guys do at the TOC. No pressure.
See, at least I don't have to worry about AOI this year. Like 20th, I have no shot.
So last year you were second?
2 years ago, yeah.
2 years ago.
Second place going into it. And I was
you
like,
had a lot of pressure, huh?
Yeah, I had too much pressure because it was just like me and Ewing, and there's a couple other people behind us that I was worried about. And it's like, oh, I gotta smash him to beat Ewing. And then Ewing didn't do that great either. And I was like, man, I could have just
you could have taken it
decently okay and would have been fine.
Damn, that probably goes. You probably talk about that or think about that for a good while. It's the curse.
Yeah, I should have played it safe because I was, you go for that home run. You don't hit the home run, you're screwed. I'm
telling you, man, that 1 ounce drop shot, bro. That's all you need.
I would have won with that, huh?
I don't know, dude. Yeah. So I'll catch up with you guys after the TOC. Good luck out there and be safe.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
As well. Have a good one.